This is the moment everything becomes official. As soon as the judge reads the case number, the entire proceeding is now on record.
We will go on the record in the matter 24 CF 252. Wait, before I go on the record, a young little child.
The defense attorney points out the presence of the client's 6-year-old daughter. It's a strategic move. Children in a courtroom can instantly shift the emotional tone for judges, juries, and even the public.
It's my client's daughter. She's 6.
I presumed that. This is very serious, and it could involve a lot of things said, and I wouldn't want any negative things or things said potentially that could harm or hurt her opinion of her father and her mother or anyone involved. You're the mom? What do you think? This will be a while, but I know that you were involved. She was as well. I just have a fear of court cases, especially serious ones impacting children. Okay. We will go on the record in the matter 24 CF 252, State of Wisconsin versus Andrew Sonnenberg. This date appears through District Attorney Kevin Schmidt in person. We have Renee Landgraf, Defense Counsel, in person. Mr. Sonnenberg appears in person in custody. We're set today in this matter.
Today is the critical day, sentencing. The defendant has already pled guilty. Now the only question left is, how long will he serve?
For the sentencing portion of this case, Mr. Sonnenberg pled guilty to first-degree recklessly endangering safety, a Class F felony. The other matters were dismissed and read in for purposes of sentencing. The court ordered a pre-sentence investigation report. The court has reviewed that report. Defense ordered an alternate pre-sentence investigation report. The court has also reviewed that report. I need to briefly look to see if I wrote down anything that jumped out to me as being a material mistake or fact. I don't notice any. All right. This matter did.
Here we see a competency review. This ensures the defendant fully understands the legal process and can participate in his defense. Without this safeguard, sentencing can't move forward.
Involve a last minute after the plea competency review. The court during that review did find the defendant competent and able to proceed to sentencing. So we are here today. Victims' rights compliance.
We are.
All right, we're in compliance. We're going to have 2 victim impact statements. Before I begin, Mr. Schmidt, did you receive both of the pre-sentence investigation reports?
I did. I have no correction to the court's PSI.
All right. And I know Ms. Landgraf did as well. And as it relates to the defense's PSI, there are certain corrections that Ms. Landgraf has filed with the court. Ms. Landgraf, did you review both of these documents with Mr. Sonnenberg?
I did, Your Honor. The document that I filed yesterday has the minor corrections to both PSIs.
Okay. Oh, to both. Yes, that's right. To the DOC PSI and to the alternate. I did review that yesterday, so I was aware of that. I apologize for misstating. And you thoroughly reviewed those with Mr. Sonnenberg?
To the best that I could, yes, Your Honor.
All right, to the best that you could. So you did all that you can as a defense counsel to be able to go over the documents with Mr. Sonnenberg?
Notice how the defense attorney highlights her client's emotions. It's a classic legal strategy. Humanize the defendant, present him as overwhelmed rather than simply dangerous.
Yes, it was a very emotional process. So we had to take some time to get through it. instead of just reading word for word, I kind of translated the paragraphs into my own words to let Mr. Sonnenberg know what was being conveyed.
All right. And for the record, you are a very experienced attorney, very good at your job. And in certain aspects, you do that as well with the plea question and waiver of rights. That's your own form, your own computation of that. But it has always been accurate and correct in the court's view of when you have done that. Mr. Sonnenberg, I know that this is an emotional day for you. It's a serious day for you. Did you have enough time to go over both of these documents with your attorney?
Yes, Your Honor.
And did you understand what these contain?
Yes, Your Honor. A little bit, yeah.
Did you find were there any material facts or anything that was wrong that you want to correct to the court other than what Ms. Landgraf has filed?
No.
No. All right. And I'm going to say, Ms. Landgraf, if he is going to make a statement, I will need that microphone down because it's hard to hear him. There we go. All right.
We don't need to do that until you actually type.
Off the record.
Did you notice? The defendant isn't in handcuffs, he's wearing a brace. That signals he's injured, but still considered dangerous. Look at how much emphasis is placed on courtroom security.
Is he not handcuffed?
No, he's got a brace on his arm. We don't have handcuffs.
All right. I'm sure it's a situation that we have a lot of enforcement here, that if something were to go awry, then we are here. All right, back on the record. Okay, so let's start with the first statement, Ms. Bauer. Who is going to come and make a statement?
That black desk.
Off the record again, I would feel more comfortable if we had a law enforcement officer on that side as well. Thank you. Thank you, Captain. Back on the record. Please state your name and spell it for the record.
Colin Gerald O'Toole, COLLINGERALD O''TOOLE.
All right. Officer O'Toole, if you would like to please present your statement to the court. And if you're reading something, please read it slowly so that the court reporter can take down everything. And if this is going to be emotional for you and you need to stop, that's fine. I'd rather have you stop and take a breath than to not understand what you're saying. Okay?
The first one will be for Officer Zjac, who couldn't be here today.
Now we come to the emotional turning point, victim impact statements. These aren't just personal stories. They show the judge the human cost of the crime and can heavily influence sentencing.
Your Honor, on the evening of December 16, 2024, my life could have been taken from me. On Monday, December 16, 2025, at approximately 5:55 p.m., I was nearing the end of my shift. It had been a long day, and I was with Officer O'Toole, who was in phase 3 of his field training. We had just cleared the Burnett County Jail after handling another incident, and were heading home for the night. As I pulled into my driveway, a call came over the radio, one that instantly made my heart sink. It was from St. Croix Tribal Dispatch, relaying a 911 call that had came in at Burnett County Dispatch. Raina LaPointe, the mother of Monica, said Andrew was drunk and had locked Monica in the bathroom. He wouldn't let her out. I knew Andrew. I knew his history. I knew what he was capable of. A man I knew from prior violent incidents. Monica had a restraining order against him. I knew he was capable of harm. I knew she was in danger. And I knew that if I waited or checked off duty, as I was just minutes from doing, Someone could have been hurt or worse, killed. What happened next changed the way I will respond to calls for the rest of my life. Monica had a protection order against him for a reason. He's a big man, aggressive when intoxicated. And Monica is significantly smaller, far more vulnerable. My instincts told me there wasn't time to wait. There wasn't just another domestic call. This was a situation that could turn deadly if we didn't act fast. I pulled out of my driveway and responded emergent. I wasn't going to let Monica become another name, another statistic, another woman failed by timing and hesitation. At 6:02 p.m., I arrived. A familiar sedan was parked in the driveway, Jamie Long's vehicle. She was sitting inside. As I walked past, she looked at me with wide, anxious eyes and said the word I'll never forget. Andrew's inside. When I arrived on scene, Officer O'Toole, my trainee, was right behind me. As I approached the split-level home, I saw Monica standing in the foyer, terrified. The front door was wide open, and I could hear crashing, yelling, and chaos inside. Then the words no officer wants to hear. He's getting a knife. Seconds later, I saw Andrew sprint up the stairs into the kitchen, and then the crashing grew louder. He was tearing through drawers, and I knew exactly what was coming next.
Knife strikes against the glass. This wasn't a movie scene. This was real life. Seconds like these can mean the difference between life and death.
I secured Monica out of the house and turned to confront what I feared would be the final seconds of my life. Andrew came charging down the stairs, full sprint, straight at me, wielding a large kitchen knife. The only thing standing us was a storm door, already damaged, the latch broken. He began slamming the blade against the glass. Full force strikes, not tapping, not threatening. He was attacking with the clear intent to kill me. Each time his knife hit the glass, I braced for the pain to shatter. I could see the rage in his eyes, not fear, not confusion, just raw, violent rage. Inches separate that knife from my body. I gripped the door with everything I had, knowing that at any moment it could give way. I tried to de-escalate. I tried to speak to him. There was no humanity in his response, only aggression. He was out of control. He was focused on ending my life. In that split-second moment, with a weapon pointed at me and no barrier worth trusting, I had to make a decision, use deadly force or try to reposition. I looked behind me and saw something that stopped me. Rana LaPointe and a child near the stairs. I knew if I pulled my weapon and fired, I might hit one of them. So instead of protecting myself, I risked myself and I retreated to move to a tactical position. And just as I did, Officer O'Toole discharged his firearm, saving my life and possibly others. Afterwards, I helped render aid to Andrew because that is our duty as officers. But it does not erase what happened. It does not take away the fear, the trauma, or the reality that I came within inches of being stabbed to death while doing my job, while protecting others. This wasn't a mistake. This wasn't a misunderstanding. Andrew Sonnenberg made the choice to turn a residence into a battleground, to turn a knife into a weapon, and to try to take a life that night, mine. Since then, I've struggled with the psychological toll of that encounter, the weight of having to make a life or death decision in a split second, the memories, that knife slamming into the glass, the look in his eyes, I still hear it, I still see it. I ask you to understand I wear a uniform, but I'm human. I have a family. I have people who expect me to come home. And on December 16th, at approximately 40 seconds after arriving the scene, that was nearly taken from me by one man's violent and deliberate actions.
This moment hit hard. The officer thought his family might never see him again. That's why victim impact statements are so powerful. They turn cold
The hardest
facts
part of the
into
whole
emotional
situation
reality.
was it was a normal shift that day. I was just pulling into my residence, getting ready to see my family, when I backed out of my driveway. I can't help but think I didn't call my wife or my kids when doing so. And if I had gotten killed that night, the last thing they would have heard, the last thing they would have seen was my squad leaving the driveway after pulling in. No goodbye, no I love you, nothing, just taillights. The part that hurts the most, knowing what they would have felt, they would have had a lifelong sadness that wouldn't go away. They would always have those questions of what if, hold him accountable, not just for what he tried to do to me, but for the chaos, the trauma, and the danger he brought into that home that night, to Monica, to the child, and to my family. I'm asking, no, I'm pleading for you to impose a maximum sentence allowed under law. Andrew didn't just break the law that night. He broke a woman's sense of safety. He shattered trust, and he showed complete disregard for the protection order meant to keep Monica safe. His actions were calculated, violent, and terrifying. Monica could have been seriously injured or worse. The fear in her mother's voice, the scene we walked into, the trauma that Monica will carry, none of it will be undone. He was proven time and time again that he's a danger, and to anyone he tries to protect her. The only way to ensure Monica's safety and to send a message that this kind of abuse will not be tolerated is to hold him fully accountable. Please, Monica, please, for Monica, for her family, for every victim who prays for the protection that comes too late, give Andrew the maximum sentence. He earned it. Officer Mike Zjac, badge number 435.
Thank you. Now, Mr. O'Toole, yours, please.
Yep.
And again, if you need to take a second, you may do so.
Okay. On December 16, 2024, a day that changed everything. It's my first day of
I'm
face.
just going to ask you to slow down a little bit.
Okay.
You read Officer Zjac's very slow.
Okay.
And good. So please do that with yours.
Thank you. A day that changed everything. I was in my first day of phase 3 FTO. I was so new that I didn't even know if I had my badge on correctly. At 6:02 p.m., my career changed. My family changed. I changed.
Take as much time as you need. It's a little bit more difficult, I'm sure, reading your own versus somebody else's.
I was on the phone with my wife when the call of a domestic in progress came out. I told my wife that I loved her and I would be home soon. Never did I think that was almost the last words I'd ever tell her.
Officer O'Toole, you may take.
Imagine this, your very first day of field training, and suddenly you're in a life or death struggle. Within minutes, this rookie officer had to act to save his partner's life.
Your time.
Never did I think I wouldn't be able to tell her I was okay, how much I loved her, or how I almost didn't come home. Being so new, I showed up to the wrong address. I thought I was going to get made fun of for it. Little did I know that mistake most likely saved my life. Mike and I arrived at the same time, hearing screaming of "he's got a knife." When I noticed Andrew coming down the stairs, knife raised above his head, coming for Mike and I. My only thought going through my head was my family and my partner's family. How could I explain to them that I failed in doing my duties of keeping my partner safe? I couldn't let that happen. Andrew, even as you were laying on the ground, you still showed no remorse, no care, no regret for what you were putting your kid and family through. You will never change. You refuse to take accountability for your actions. If it wasn't for Mike's bravery of holding the door, even in the face of imminent death, everything would have been different. If it wasn't for my first FTO kid teaching me and preparing me for my career ahead,
I'm going to guess by FTO you mean field training officer?
Yes, my field training officer, Kate Barker. Teaching me and preparing me for the career ahead, everything would have been different. If it wasn't for me going to the wrong house, everything would have been different. Even though I protected people and did my job and came home, it has not been without its challenges. I've spent many sleepless nights replaying the night of December 16th in my head and wondering what my future would look like. My family and I have shed many tears over an avoidable situation that could have costed my life or my partner's life. When people say life flashes before your eyes, I never believed them until that day. What I saw that day was my wife holding hands with a little girl. I knew if I didn't stop Andrew, I'd never get to see this future with my wife. I believe that was God telling me what he had planned for me. When I was at my lowest, I told my wife I couldn't see through this, and she asked me if I could see my next step and said, just take it. I will be there to catch you if you fall. That's what true love is. That night, I had to start my recovery journey. Through that, I got adopted into a new family, the law enforcement family, a family that checked on me continuously throughout my journey of coming back to the job, a family that has my back until the very end, a family that never let me be alone in my darkest hour. I can't thank the Burnett County Sheriff's Office, St. Croix Tribal, Siren, Webster, and Grantsburg Police Departments enough for their continuous support in my journey. Holly Hakes has helped me ground myself and the support that I've received and focusing on the future ahead. I'm not leaving. I'm not going anywhere. This is where I belong. This is what I'm meant to be. I would do it all over again for my brothers and sisters in blue. I will keep doing it because it's my job to make sure everyone goes home safe. In the words of Mark Peterson, in the end, all that matters is I did the right thing. All I ask.
Both officers frame their experiences as more than survival. They describe it as a calling. This resonates with judges, showing that the crime wasn't just reckless. It was an attack on public safety itself.
Justice be served in a way that reflects the seriousness of what my family and I endured. Thank you.
Thank you, Officer O'Toole. All right, Mr. Schmidt. Argument and sentencing recommendation, please.
Thank you. A segment in here, I'm going to switch to playing some video footage for the court. I'll let the court know when I'm going to do that. I've already set it up with the clerks prior to the hearing.
Thank you for doing that.
The state's recommendation here is going to be towards the high end of the court's PSI recommendation. I'm going to be recommending 7.5 years initial confinement and 4 years extended supervision, which is the top end of that.
All right.
The driving factors of my recommendation are, I think, in order that I think the court should prioritize them, which is incapacitation, specific deterrence, rehabilitation, and general deterrence. I think it's most appropriate for me to start with my argument based off of the presentation by the officer here, reading Officer Zjac and Officer O'Toole's statements, by emphasizing how really dangerous this offender is. You heard some of that alluded to by Officer Zjac's statement. His criminal history is just riddled with either dealing convictions or battery convictions or read-ins. Most people who were talked to by both PSI writers, both the one who prepared the sentencing memorandum for the defense, as well as the DOC agent who prepared the courts, reference multiple incidences across Mr. Sonnenberg's life in particular, where Mr. Sonnenberg was in possession of knives and a need to disarm him. That's been like a recurring thing mentioned in those PSIs. The instant case involves him stabbing at and chasing two police officers before they really even had a chance to say much of a word to him.
The prosecution drives it home. This wasn't just a one-time mistake. The defendant has a history with knives. Patterns like this prove intent and risk, making it harder for the court to show leniency.
It was just wanton and pointless and potentially lethal. That's where I should start with it. The actual fact pattern here and the dangerousness of it. Two tribal police officers were called with what initially sounded like a domestic call, an unwanted person call, a violating a restraining order call. You've heard some description of it already. As they approached the building, dispatch warned them over their radio of an ongoing shouting and crashing in there, as well as mention of a knife. As they approached the front door, Monica Martinson left the residence while warning the police that Sonnenberg was getting a knife. As she exits, when you watch Officer Zjac's body cam, Andrew Sonnenberg is at the top of the stairs with both knives in his hands, two of them. Officer Zjac closes what I think could be fairly characterized as a rather flimsy storm door as Sonnenberg barrels down the stairs and charges at the door and collides with it with full force and the momentum of charging down a flight of stairs. He changes his grip on the knives to get a firmer grip on the largest knife and to adjust it for downward thrusts towards the glass pane of the storm door. He swings in particular directly in the direction of where Officer Zjac is behind the door, bracing it with his foot to prevent it from opening, to prevent Mr. Sonnenberg from gaining access to himself as well as to Monica, who had just left the building. Zjac moves back from the knife thrust, moving back from the door, and immediately Sonnenberg bursts through the door with both knives, one in each hand, charges at the police, and is quickly stopped by the fast actions of Officer O'Toole. Because there was so much talk about this incident in the PSI, that's why I think the court really, to understand the dangerousness, as well as I think the fastness of it, how much happens in such a fast period of time, I'm going to need to play it for the court. I'm going to be playing the segment of this from both Zjac's perspective as well as O'Toole's. It's going to be less than 1 minute of video from each of their body cams. That's how much happened in such a short period of time. When we do
body cam footage at sentencing is rare. Why? Because raw video strips away excuses. The judge won't just hear the danger, he'll see it, frame by frame.
Suppression motions, when we analyze constitutional issues, something the Supreme Court really tells us is to consider the fast need to respond and make a decision, the snap judgments law enforcement needs to make for safety reasons every day. And I think this really emphasizes why that exists, why that's a matter of law and not just a matter of fact. I want the court to watch for the things I just described. I want the court to watch in particular for this one. So I'm going to start that now.
Before he does that, my client would like to leave the courtroom for the video playing.
Yes,
All right. I do have to require him being here for the sentencing portion, but for the video portion, does that go into your argument? Do you talk while the video plays, Mr. Schmidt?
I was going to.
Can you refrain from doing that?
What I'll do then is I'm going to play each of their videos twice and then I'll comment later. The reason I'm playing it twice is just it's so much so quickly.
All right. Law enforcement comfortable with that and bringing him to the elevator or elevator room? All right, thank you. Then we can remove Mr. Sonnenberg for the playing of the video portion only. Okay, so should be on.
Perfect.
I was with Monica.
Yeah, I know. Okay.
I hear a lot of screaming on the phone.
Get out of the house.
She said
My
he's
daughter's
grabbing a knife.
upstairs.
Let's go.
Hey,
Oh my God.
Andrew, stop. Just stop. Hey, stop.
One at gunpoint!
One more time.
I'm in the house with Monica.
Yeah, I know. Okay.